The next item on the agenda is the middle school athletic update. Mr. Bob Billings, our coordinator of this programming, is here to kind of catch us up, including middle school athletics.
President DeWitt, Interim Superintendent Eads, members of the board, thanks for allowing me to come this evening and give you an update on, I have to connect the dots because you know, but public might know that middle school sports and the collaboration with the City of Greeley was the first step in all of this collaboration with the city. So it's a little further ahead, and the great news is we have the numbers to show it. So it's exciting. You have three documents. The first one's a document you've seen before, and these are the sports and activities that we offer at our middle schools. And K-8s and Romero 4-8. Nothing's changed since I was here and talked to you about those before. What I really want to focus on tonight is to give you an update for the 3-year totals for participation since my predecessor, John Batolo, got this off the ground with the City of Greeley back in 12-13. That chart shows you that that year we had a total of 1,635 participation events. So those could be students that played 3 or 4 different things. And that was pretty good. But we've made some progress. If you look at the column for 14-15, that number now is 2,740 participants this school year. And if my math's right, it's just about 60% gained over this 3-year period. A couple of challenges, so to speak. 2 areas had slight declines, cross country down 6 participants and swimming down 19. Other than that, positive progress. And I think it's interesting to note, and our coaches and our middle school athletic administrators saw this year as well. You look at our girls' participation up 324 young women over 3 years. That's remarkable. And the long-term benefits of that are hopefully will start to be seen as we look and see who's participating in high school, and that's one of our next steps. Our first goal really was to create the opportunities, and we've done that and expanded that, and we're participating at a high level, which is awesome. So our next question is, are these kids continuing to participate in high school? Because that was one area that we talked about as athletic administrators at both high and middle schools. We want to try to retain all these kids. And so we'll see where those numbers start to shake out. The other piece that is encouraging to me, as I mentioned last time, we added boys and girls soccer this spring with the support of the Kaiser Permanente Wellness Grant. And we have 270 participants in that program. The good news is our track numbers didn't go down. We're up by 1 student in track and field because we wondered if the kids would all go play soccer, if they'd keep running track, and so they're doing both. And that's encouraging. It tells us we made a great choice, and our hope is that the Kaiser Permanente grant is being written for next year and will continue to support this program because we couldn't really have done it the way we're doing it without their support. So Jeremy and Rachel and the wellness folks have been great supporters. The other thing we're talking about and looking on the last page that you got towards 2015-16, we're looking always at how we can improve and get better. One of those ways, in talking with our building leaders, is considering the move to a 7th grade varsity format and an 8th grade varsity format. Currently, we have our 8th grade varsity and our 8th grade JV, and that's our school-based teams. But with the increase in skill level that we've seen through participation, we really want to add that varsity level at the 7th grade, and then students would have that experience. This is a cost neutral, doesn't affect us in any way, shape, or form because we'll have the same number of coaches. The only real difference would be is that if we have 8th grade athletes that don't make a varsity team, they would be able to participate in our collaborative program with the city. So we really believe that this will help with participation. One of the things we tend to see as kids grow older is they feel like they don't have the skills and will self-select out. So we really think this will be a positive for overall participation. So as far as transportation, these teams would travel together, so there's just no cost at all related to this, so that makes it easy to move forward on. We've made the request to our Northern Colorado Athletic Conference member schools to do this starting next year, and hopefully we'll find out at our April meeting if they're in agreement, and we're hopeful that they will be. We basically did the same thing with our football teams. Having only played within the city of Greeley for the most part, we reached out to a local league that was losing a few schools, but not losing as many as we would have to gain. And we made some good relationships. They did not accept us into their league, but we are going to have at least one non-league game outside with a school outside of the city of Greeley. So that's a step in the right direction as well. So we're looking forward to that. Lastly, we continue to work with our partners at the city of Greeley in finding ways to improve our programs. And there's two key areas that we're looking at moving forward. One of the challenges is always finding coaches, especially when you're looking for volunteers, as are the folks that coach our collaborative teams. And so we're continuing our work by bringing some of our high school coaches into the mix to do some support and mentoring, if you will, some practice planning, and all the skills that it takes to be an athletic coach. It's not an easy thing. You don't just show up and it goes great. So we really want to continue to build and support those adults that are working with our kids on a semi-daily basis through the sports season. And then lastly, another area that we are talking about is how we can train our officials. Same thing with these lower level younger kids. We tend to get the officials that are just showing up and trying to figure out how to do this. And so how can we train them and help them have a great experience with the same result? We'd like them to learn and grow and be high school and potentially college officials. So that's kind of the big picture moving forward. I'm happy to report we are continuing our plan with NextCare for the $10 sports physicals that we did last year. We did about 1,100 of those last year, and so that definitely has an impact, I think, on these numbers. And then the last thing, Romero 4-8 would like to add wrestling next year.
Really?
They have a lot of interest out there, and so we'll see if we can't get that done for them so they can be part of the wrestling crew in our district. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or clarification of anything.
Thank you, Mr. Billings. This time, I do want to take a slight pause in the presentation and the discussion. We'll get back to questions. But it is 8 o'clock, and our friends from UNC have some homework to do. And so we're going to permit them to go back to their dorms and get their homework done tonight, but with our appreciation for you having joined us this evening. Have a wonderful time here. Good night. Thank you. Mr. Eads has a comment with respect to this presentation. Please, Mr. Billings.
Yes, I just thought I would put this in a little bit of context. We have something like 3,500 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So to have 2,740 participations, that's got to be a pretty big percentage of these young students participating. I know there's probably some multi-sport participants in there, but that's a pretty big number, and I think that's pretty impressive and shows how much the partnership with the city has paid off in terms of just generating a lot more interest amongst middle school students and getting involved. So I think that was worth saying. So.
Absolutely. It's good numbers. Ms. Elise?
These are amazing numbers, and we know that middle school is a tough time. And if we can keep these kids, busy and active and doing other things, it keeps them out of trouble. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Havely?
I'm not going to put straw in my mouth, but I'll return to my one-dimensional jock roots. And I want to thank you for your efforts. I think that by having this participation, it creates ownership for our students. And I think that if they have ownership both at the middle level and then moving on to the high school level, I think that that's a outstanding segue for that. And the idea of creating an opportunity for officials, I can't think of a better thing in the whole wide world. So I really appreciate that.
Dr. Richard?
And again, thank you for the numbers, and also for that thought that even though we see skills increasing and you're looking at varsity, you're also keeping in mind just that sheer opportunity to participate in something that is a health and wellness activity that serves our students so well. The other question I have is, when you work with other leagues and teams and other communities, are there other communities out there that have this coordination between the city and the school district, or is this in Greeley somewhat unique?
The only one that I'm definitely know that it occurs is down in Broomfield. The city of Broomfield has worked with Broomfield High School in particular. In fact, a very similar model where they actually purchased the synthetic turf for Broomfield High School, and they have a very explicit agreement on how that is used, and so they are investing in their community both on their football stadium side but also for their gymnasiums. And we actually stole an idea from them where we're going to have some of our high school soccer players actually be officials for our soccer program coming up here starting in April. And so it really becomes a fundraiser for the athletes without having to go out and I'll say sell cookie dough, but no one from the wellness area knows that we sell any cookie dough.
Don't do that.
But so it's a great opportunity for kids to build those connections with the community and with the younger kids, and our hope and belief is that that will foster some growth for those high school kids in a different avenue that we weren't necessarily thinking about before we heard that idea.
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Mr. Hall?
Just short and sweet, Bob, excellent job. Thank you for what you do. This is amazing. That much of an upturn in the girls' participation and the numbers in general in a growing system is just tremendous, and it takes a lot of work, and I understand that. And I just thank you, and I thank you for your leadership in doing that.
Thank you.
Something especially encouraging, I think, for all of us is to see that we're giving kids a chance to try something that they may never have had a chance to try. And we're giving some of them the chance to really thrive. And with that next step up, the possibility of that little more challenging crew to go out and take on other teams that at a new level for us. Again, I think it's just a side product of the growth that you permitted to occur. And we do thank you. We're very proud of this program.
Well, it's my pleasure, and really have to give credit to the middle school athletic administrators and the office staff. You can only imagine registering this many kids, and so without them and the positive support that we have with them and the connection with our colleagues at the city, we're very fortunate.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. The next item is the 2014-15 budget timeline. Chief Financial Officer Megan Sponsler will fascinate us with the timeline.
Good evening, President DeWitt, members of the board, and Superintendent Eads. Tonight, I just wanted to bring your attention to the budget timeline. You have this in your packet. This is really the time of year where our timelines start colliding, and it creates a few little hiccups in our system. But just to kind of reiterate what timelines we're looking at for March and April, obviously we have our eyes trained on what is happening down at the Capitol in Denver. We are monitoring any legislation that impacts K-12 education. Even some seemingly innocuous bills tend to have an impact on us that we have to be paying attention to. And so we just keep our ears open on those items. Tonight, you will also be voting on our employee benefits package. Obviously, that plays a significant role in our budget. You will also be receiving tonight the DAC budget recommendation, so that will be coming up next. Part of my job and one of the unknowns in this world of education is trying to predict how many students we will actually have next year. And so I am getting close to feeling like I'm complete on that task, at least to the best of my ability until we actually have students arrive next fall. And then that leads to the next step, which is really the foundation of our staffing allocations. And so I am currently working on our staffing allocations and trying to make sure that the allocations are something that we can afford in our budget. Next month in April, I anticipate that the School Finance Act will actually be introduced. To date, it has not. There are rumors of some drafts going around down at the Capitol. So far, nothing too exciting to report. We are anticipating inflation of 2.8%. So that's one thing that I think is fairly safe to bet on at this point. But there are a lot of other factors that we need to be listening to. And even just one tweak in the language in the School Finance Act can greatly impact the revenues that we get. Also, after spring break, we hope to be able to release the staffing allocations to our principals. They like to know what kind of staffing allocation they have so they can start making hiring decisions. And we all know that the earlier we hire, the better candidates we can get. So that's really important. And then also, I'll be coming back to you as a board to get some input on your budget priorities, and we'll take those into account as we develop the budget for next year. So at this time, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Well, we appreciate you always looking into that crystal ball, and we.
I do my best.
You have a wonderful record, so we're always impressed. Mr. Havley.
You don't receive enough credit for what you do. You wear so many hats and you have such great expertise in a wide variety of areas that you border on indispensable to this district, and you should be proud of what you do, and we're delighted that you help us be a better district.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall? Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.